Chris, you graduated 13 seniors from last year's team. Do you ever look around and say, hey, where did everybody go?
It's definitely a different experience this year, going from 13 seniors to just 3. That's kind of the ebbs and flows that you sometimes see with different classes. But yeah, we're still getting acclimated to the difference in numbers, absolutely.
I'm a big proponent of 2 words, and that's pitching wins.
That's right.
And with Marinac and Garris, that was over 130 innings for you last season. So who are you expecting to step up on the mound this year?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to need multiple guys to replace that production. Tyler Minnick's going to be one of them. Talked about how well he did last year up until he had that arm injury. Xander Velez is going to be another one of our frontline guys. He really came into his own last year during the Legion season. He's looked really good throughout the preseason. I mean, he can run his fastball up, touching 90, but honestly, he has better control when he's not quite that high, trying to pump it up, and he has 2 secondary pitches that have looked really good. Matt Novotny, who's a junior for us this year, he made some good impact for us at some of the games when we played a doubleheader at Reading. He did very well for us there. So those are probably going to be our 3 frontline starters that we run out at the beginning of the year.
I know you have a very promising freshman class. Are these guys that are going to have an impact this season or more down the road?
We would probably expect that they have an impact this year, but when you're that young, we got to try to get them acclimated. It's very important that we put them in situations that they're going to have some success. But it is exciting, the talent, the depth we have in that freshman class.
Troche had some clutch hits for you, especially in the county playoffs, in the quarters and the semifinals. What are you expecting out of him this season?
Just a tick upwards in maturity with everything, handling our pitching staff, being that full-time starter behind the plate. We always tell our guys that's priority number 1 is handling the pitching staff. We joke, we don't care if you're a catcher for us and you hit 100. We want you to be able to control the pitching staff and make smart decisions behind the plate. But there's no doubt that he's a talented hitter. He's going to bat in the middle of our lineup. He handles off speed really, really well, puts the ball in play. And that ability is what won us that quarterfinal game against Brandywine and the semifinal against Muhlenberg. So we expect some big things out of him this year.
We talked a little bit about Minnick pitching, but he's also going to be a big piece of your puzzle offensively and the infield. Right. Can you put into words how valuable he's going to be?
He's a multi-tool athlete, and he does everything very well. How he runs, how he fields, the mental part of it, what he does with the kids. I mean, the leadership thing is probably what has really impressed me from last year to this year. Just all those things that you would hope to have out of a leader, albeit a junior. This year he's still not a senior, which is kind of exciting for us. But I've seen the growth in him from those aspects, and that's obviously what has me more excited about his future is that growth mentally and what he's doing from the vocal part, the leadership part.
And Woolwine is back as well in the outfield. What are you anticipating from him?
Just he locks down that spot, man. He runs down everything. He's such a great kid. He's another multi-sport athlete, just a competitor, fiery competitor. So he's going to bat towards the top of our lineup. Great speed, great athleticism, and he's a guy, again, in center field that's going to take command and help our corner outfielders with positioning and everything else that you'd hope to have out of a senior captain.
One thing that I thought was interesting that kind of went under the radar last year because your team was so successful. You won a county championship, you got to states, you won over 20 games. But if you look at your offensive numbers, it certainly was not one of your more prolific teams.
Yeah.
Is that just, going back to the program and the expectations and kind of the culture that, regardless of the talent, they expect to win?
I hope so. That's kind of what we try to establish here with our culture. And it all starts with pitching and defense. And last year we really had to scrap offensively, and you saw our stats, our numbers. They weren't great. I think this year we could be better 1-9, offensively. That remains to be seen. But yeah, it's a culture we try to establish. And having a good offense, we talk about this all the time. It's not banging out hit after hit after hit. It's finding ways to get on base. That might be hit by a pitch. That might be drawing a walk, doing those little things, moving a runner up. And we had to do a lot of that small ball last year, but we did it pretty well.
Warwick is going to be one of the best teams in the entire district. You got to scrimmage them. What were your thoughts, and how did those type of experiences, even though it is a scrimmage and people aren't really keeping score, but how does it benefit you?
Oh, it's a tremendous experience. I think it's the same thing over the years, like when our football team would scrimmage Berks Catholic before they were on their regular season schedule, and that looked like the Super Bowl. You know, the hitting, and I mean, you've covered those, Paul. You know what happened in those. So those scrimmages bring on more life, and it only makes you better. You know, that's again our athletic director Pat Tully going out, getting us a scrimmage against Warwick, getting us a scrimmage against Manheim Central, who knocked off Manheim Township last year in their league, went to the state semifinal. But yeah, I mean, it's only going to benefit us in the long run facing teams like that. The pitching we saw, kids going to Millersville, just really great competition that hopefully benefits us in May.
And looking at your division, obviously Wilson suffered a lot of losses to graduation, but there's still some high-level talent there. So a lot of buzz about Exeter this offseason. What's life like in Division One?
It's a battle. You know, it's such a battle. Every game is going to be going to be tight. You know, and we know when we go out there, we're going to get every team's best effort. You know, you have that bullseye on your back, especially when you win the county. And you know, all those teams you spoke of, they still have great athletes. They're still so well coached. You know, so any of those programs, whether it's Exeter, whether it's Wilson, and whoever else in our division, they're going to be right there with us, you know, battling every single game that we play in Berks 1.
Well, thanks for your time as always. Good luck this season.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paul.